Apple is expected to ship new models of 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro devices in the fourth quarter of 2023, according to Digitimes. There were conflicting reports that we've talked about earlier on this very show about how like Mark Gurman and I think maybe even Ming Chi Kuo were saying that their new Macs are going to be delayed until early 2024, kind of like what happened last year. But according to Digitimes, the notebooks will include mini LED backlighting that can increase the display brightness by 10% compared to the first generation specifications.
Hmm.
And the MacBook Pro line will continue to include mini LED backlighting until 2026. At that point, it will switch to OLED. So that's all that we have from here. We don't know at this stage, like it doesn't indicate whether or not it'll have the M3 chip in it. One, presumes that they will, but we don't. This would be the first M3 device to come out. We'll see what happens there. Apparently, we don't have to wait very long because they're saying that these new Macs will be out by the end of the year. But there is even more. A separate report says that Apple has three other models on its agenda for the fourth quarter. If they are both true, the company has some busy months coming up. Cupertino supposedly plans to introduce an updated version of the 24-inch iMac, which was over a year and a half ago. That's still on M1 even. A refreshed 13-inch MacBook Air, and an updated
Hmm.
13-inch MacBook Pro, all with the new M3.
I find this report interesting. Digitimes, I don't know exactly what their record is. I mean, they've been accurate in the past. They don't get everything right. But one of the things I think is usually interesting to investigate when you're looking at if a new device is coming out from Apple is Mac Rumors keeps a really great buying guide. And for the 14-inch and the 16-inch MacBook Pro, they're they basically have three statuses. Green is go ahead and buy it. It's not going to be updated anytime soon. Red is don't buy it. It's about to be updated. And then there's yellow, which is just like, hey, caution, it could be updated. So they've got MacBook Pro at caution. But the days since the last release is only 261 days. And that's not very long. So it would be surprising to me if they did update to an M3 chip at this point. But it would also be smart for them to do that now because they are right ahead of Christmas. So like now would be a really great time. And if they're going to be doing it for the MacBook Air, and I think generally speaking, they do upgrade a lot of their lower end Macs right before the holiday season because they sell really well over the holidays. And if they did this with the MacBook Pro, that would be extremely exciting in my book. I don't think that they would release a new MacBook Pro with new screen technology and not upgrade the chip. That really wouldn't make sense. They rarely do moves like that, in my opinion. But I would be over the moon if I could get a new MacBook Pro like the M3 before the end of the year.
When
Yeah.
we do see M3, I'll be really interested to see how the performance changes year over year because a lot of people who are running, and I know benchmarks aren't everything, but a lot of people who are running benchmarks on the new iPhones are saying that even though this is a pretty significant die shrink from 5 nanometers down to 3 nanometers, we're not really seeing a lot of the benefits that people were expecting out of their first 3 nanometer process. So I think it might be worth waiting if you're already on Apple Silicon, even if you're on an M1. I think it might be worth waiting until the quote unquote enhanced 3rd nanometer process comes out, potentially with M4.
And I just wanted to highlight people were talking about the iMac in the chat. Yeah, so the iMac hasn't been updated since April of 2021. It is
Wow.
long overdue. I think that just goes to show it probably doesn't sell that well. And so Apple is prioritizing their engineering resources to sell the things that make them the most money. And the iMac probably just doesn't sell all that well, especially with the Mac Studio and the Mac Mini. I mean, it includes a screen, but you don't really. There's a lot of options at this point to get the same level of computing performance for a smaller price. So it'd be really cool if they actually updated the iMac and gave it like the current M series chip. And let's see here, the MacBook Pro 13 inch, yeah, 475 days since release. MacBook Air, wow, 454 days. I didn't realize it'd been that long. So they're due for an upgrade too. The MacBook Pro again only 261 days and the average is 379. So not not super old at this point. Mac Mini is kind of mid-cycle at this point. MacBook
Well,
Air, yeah.
the story there is that like those devices, the M2 MacBook Pro and Mac Mini were allegedly supposed to come out in the fall of last year, but they had to kick the can because of production problems. So I guess it wouldn't be if you consider those were probably, you know, manufacturing ready by that time. It's not that unusual that they would come out with the new ones exactly a year later, but it is a little unusual.
I mean, they've done it before. I remember when they updated the MacBook Pro with the newer Vega GPUs, and I was pissed. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Because they had like the AMD GPUs, and then I forget how long after it was like 180 days. They switched it to offer better GPUs, like mid-cycle, which they had I don't think had ever done before at that point. And I was like, "This is the one that I wanted." Like, and I jumped through a bunch of hoops to like buy the new one and sell my own one. Anyway,